Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. So let's go ahead, though, and start with you guys, developers. Philip, let's start with you, and we'll end with a sweet one. That's a pretty girl from Canada. And Philip, let's start with you, my man. You're the Blastbay boy. I call you the Blastbay boy because
I'll take
you're
it.
from blastbay.com and working on lots of projects, and most especially planning or already starting work on the one that we're most excited about. We're excited for both the Windows and the one that's going to be coming. Talk to us about that. I know you've talked to us about it, but if someone is just hearing us for the first time, kind of tell them a little bit about your project.
Philip, before you start, I just want to say thank you once again, because I can see that Stripe payment is available on your website, just an alternative to PayPal. So for those who cannot use PayPal in their countries, they can pay with their credit card. That's a great job. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, I realized I had to set that up because I was getting emailed from people saying, can't place the order. So yeah, I went up, and Stripe is surprisingly easy to set up. Anyways,
Yeah.
so to start off, like I said in the introduction, my name is Philip Bennefall, and I am from Sweden. And for the last few years, I've been developing text-to-speech voices on commission, but more recently for end users. And as I said, they're currently available for Windows. There's a U.S. English male and a U.S. English female called Richard and Libby, and they're available from blastbay.com. They're a bit interesting for those of you who may know these older synthesizers such as Deck Talk. It's actually the same technology as those in terms of how the synthesis.
That's actually what I'm using right now, is
Yeah.
Deck Talk on my phone.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and it's actually very, very similar in terms of how the synthesis is performed. Except it's now driven by one of these more modern neural networks. So you get the realism of these sort of newer AI voices, but you also get the flexibility and the controllability of this older technology from the 70s and 80s. Well, even earlier technically, but it was popularized in the 80s. Yeah.
In fact, though, the Libby voice kind of reminds me of that one voice, the Microsoft Eva, that one Cortana. She kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah, it's based on a real person. So maybe it was a woman who sounded similar. It could just be that, because it's trained from real human data, which is why it sounds more human than something like Deck Talk.
Which means, do you need to record real human voice, studio quality voice, right?
Yeah, yes, you do. The better the source material you have, the better the voice will be.
Okay, so since I, my mother tongue is Bengali, and we are in trouble of Bengali voices in various platforms in various times. If we, let's say, give you the support of these studio quality voices and stuff like that, would you guys be able to consider it?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot to adding support for a new language. You have to do the phonetics in terms of, translating the actual input text, what's called the orthography, the letter, the way it's written as letters, into a phonetic transcription, which is, what sounds you're actually making. So depending on what kind of language it is, how regular it is in terms of the text to phoneme conversion. For example, English is very irregular. Whereas a language like Spanish is way more regular.
What about Swedish?
Swedish is a nightmare.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
Not only because of the phonetics, but it's also a tonal language, such as
Yeah.
Chinese. Not with as many tones, but still, it is a bit of a nightmare. I am working on a Swedish voice based on myself, but he currently sounds like this, and he sounds very bored and upset with life.
Somehow.
Isn't Japanese also a tonal language? I can't remember. It sounds
I'm
like
not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest. I would have to look into that.
It sounds like to me like it is when you listen to it, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. But anyway, to answer the question fully, absolutely, we're looking into supporting additional languages. It's just that it's way more than just recording the data. Recording the data is actually the easy part. The hard part is to do the text processing, and do like I said, the text to phoneme conversion, depending on how regular the language is in terms of the letter to sound rules, if you will. So it can be anywhere from a few weeks to several months to add support for just one language. That's why that kind of work is it's obviously very important for many people, but it does take a significant amount of time and expertise to do that, especially since I don't speak all these languages, so I would need to get to acquire that knowledge in the sense that I would need assistance from somebody who speaks it and who is aware of phonetics. So you need not necessarily a linguist, but someone in that direction.
Yeah, question. Did you ever learn Spanish, or did you learn to speak it or something, or did you have somebody do it?
Spanish? No, I don't speak Spanish, and I don't have a Spanish voice yet. But I do know that because I have friends who speak Spanish and who are very linguistically talented, who have told me that it's quite a regular conversion from text to sounds. Essentially, you can read a word and know implicitly how it is supposed to be pronounced, whereas in many other languages you have to essentially memorize the pronunciation
with no context, not knowing the definition of it or anything. You
exactly.
Can just read. Yeah.
That's also called homograph disambiguation, where you have a word that is spelled the same, such as dessert and desert. That's that's a homograph, meaning it's pronounced differently depending on what context it appears in. It has a different meaning. So that's another aspect. And then of course you have things like dates and numbers and so on, times.
And there's even there, and two, and two. That's
but those are okay. Those are okay because they are pronounced the same, right? So you can put those translate into the same phonemes.
Right.
In the most So that's why of course you have to add them. But there are some ways you can sometimes get away with I guess a data-driven model where you give it if you have a lexicon of transcribed words, you can ask the AI essentially to learn how to transcribe it. That works for many languages, but you don't need it for the languages that are incredibly regular, because then you can just hard code the rules. Yeah.
I mean, oh, sorry, I was going to say another thing.
The story so far is, after listening, I think her name is Olga, who is the lead developer of the RH voice project, if I'm not wrong then. So after listening her interview, I mailed to the given address, and as a return, I got another mail from someone named Mark. I can't remember his full name, and he stated that his team actually develops various types of voices for RH voice or the project. So I try to convince him that whether it be possible to develop the voice, the Bengali voice or whether it would be possible to implement the Bengali voice in RH project or not, because we don't know the technical things. But since we have some sound engineers and stuff like that, so we could provide the studio quality recording, and we can do our best to support both financially, if possible, technically. So that is why I asked you, Philip, if it is possible.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you send me an email after this show is done? Why don't you email me and we can discuss?
Even we we host a podcast, or it's just a tea time podcast, you could say. There's no such archival thing. In Bengali, we host it is called Leave to Learn. So I would like to invite you, of course, after discussing with the colleagues, if they would like to discuss more about it then, so that you might get a better concept
Yes, I mean, I'd be glad to. If you go to blastbay.com, that's blastbay.com, you have my email address there. So if you drop me a line, I mean, because I can do voices on commission, but I can also do it, as end user product. So that sort of depends on what the setup is, the arrangement is. But in terms of, I won't be able to speak to any kind of like how long it takes to add support for a language, because if I do it as an end user product, I have to evaluate A, how many speakers are there of that language who would benefit, and B, how difficult is it to actually add support for that language. So that's something I have to consider for every language, because I've received, a lot of requests for different languages, and I have to try to prioritize them in a way that makes sense, both for end users and for my own scheduling and planning. So, but I would love to discuss further. So if you drop me an email, we'll take it from there.
Yeah. Let's have an initial conversation. Then let's see how far it goes. Actually, one of the dark side of these projects is that I don't know what would be the effect of it, but I personally think, at least in context of India, there are lots of projects run by various varsities and stuff like that, especially varsities/colleges where engineering is taught. So they come to us and say that, okay, we made a stick which will scan your surrounding and stuff like that, and after a few days, the project is completely vanished. So basically they want some government schemes and funds and stuff like that. So it is not fun day, it's fund day. I'm sorry, but
Yeah, we kind of got the drift. I know. The thing, though, it's nice to see that happening, because one of those many projects, one of them may become reality. And so you and Philip get to talk about this and see where we go from here. If we have a lot of Bengali speaking population, then, it may be worth doing it. And, I'm not familiar with the languages in India. I thought, though, that Hindi, was that the biggest language, Hindi? No?
yeah, is it the most speak language? But since it is a subcontinent, South Indians like to avoid Hindi. They like to, make things on their own language, whereas we could use all these languages: Bengali, Hindi, English, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't even speak these other languages except for English, because I'll say this right now, I've heard these languages being spoken, but I don't even understand. I don't even understand half of them, and it's like, what is this? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are
we've
some
got
political
lots of
conflicts
languages
going on.
out there. So let's move on to Hamid from TableEx. Hamid, tell us a little bit more, and most especially now that you
Excuse
have
me,
some.
please. Before we move
Yeah.
further, I'm sincerely apologize. I have to go to my dinner. And Sally, don't forget to send me the cake.
Sally, make sure you follow
Of
up on that.
course.
Okay?
Yeah, of
Because
course.
It's
And
dinner
then,
time.
Prawn,
It's dinner
my
time, man.
boy.
And
Yeah, make
yeah.
sure. Make sure you send him the cake. Otherwise,
Yeah,
Philip might have to.
celebration is on.
I guess he'll have to
Exactly.
get on you hard for that. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
yes. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Having a great time.
Thank you
And
so much.
once again,
so much
late
for
but a
the
very, very happy anniversary. And good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
See ya.
Now let's move on now to TableEx, and of course we're talking about Amit from Egypt. Amit, tell us a little bit more about TableEx in case someone is hearing us for the very first time, and most especially now that you guys have some other games added to TableEx.
Thanks. My name is Muhammed. Excuse me for this. And as I said, that we are trying to add more games in each time we can add, but also we have to edit some games for now and some functions also for the game. I don't know you are trying the game or not. If you have any question or if you have any question of any part of the game or the platform, you can tell me. That now we are trying to make it more stable in the games and in the connection, everything. So also we need to know what is the players thinking and what the players' ideas to add these ideas in the platform. So yes,
yeah.
go ahead.
So so you guys recently added Farkle, right? So how would you be able to perform actions? Like how would you be able to perform actions? Is it gesture based, or do you just navigate using talkback? Because I've never done this before. Because it's
both actions with gestures, because we try to make it more easier for us. So we try to add gestures to help us to make it easier, but also we don't have that much gestures, because you know that the screen readers using the most of the gestures. So we have just the basic gestures like swiping down with 2 fingers and those things. So we have gestures, yes, to make it easier. Like what if I want to know I already got how much points I got right now. So we are swiping down. So we have both to make it easier. It's like if you are playing Ludo, if you swipe with 2 fingers to down, it will tell us that the positions of each player and the things. So we are trying to make it easier for us gestures with actions, of course.
okay, and it's playable using talkback, right? Or do I need to use
Talkback, G-show, anything you're using, screen
Okay.
readers. It's yeah. So it's so accessible because we are blind and we did it. So it's of course it's so accessible with us.
Abdala, you're a part of that team. Do you have something to talk about, or a word or two to say about TableEx?
Thank you again. As Muhammad said, we working on make the game more stable, like connection stable, games stable, anything. We have added 3 games in the last update. It's Farkle, Lodo, and Motor Strike. We trying to make the platform better for users or players. Make it easier to play the games via the gestures, as Muhammad said. So if you have any questions or suggestions or something else, you can tell to us.
Thank you so much. Lillian, we saved the last one for the pretty young lady there from Canada. How about
Thank you.
tell us about RSVP, random scripture verse speaker. What gave you guys the idea and all of that, and the planning and all the hard work and the difficulties and all of that good stuff? Take us down that road, shall we?
Well, it all came out of a conversation between myself and my husband, and his name is Jim Fidler. I will tell you that he's a musician, composer, producer, audio engineer. He's very professional and has, so anyway, we work a lot together. My end of things is more on the development, the visual part as well, and all of that stuff. And most recently, I've been getting into, I just became a certified AI agent developer as well. So
congratulations.
Yeah, so that was, wow, that was quite the process to do that. And I don't know how I came out of it, to be honest. It was pretty intense, but But I'm
we
very
gotta
happy.
celebrate. Like that's amazing that you did that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it involved doing a project and a capstone project, and it took me a few weeks, and I honestly didn't even know if I passed it, but I came through really well apparently, so I
Yeah,
was very
as
happy
they
about
say,
that.
hard work pays off, right?
It really does. Yeah, you definitely have to put the work in, and with this app, actually, came from a conversation myself and Jim were speaking, and I don't know how this came up, but he was talking about, you know, people taking a physical Bible and just flipping through the pages and randomly putting your finger down without, without knowing where you are, of course. And then he said, well, obviously he can't do it. He's blind because people do that. And I'm sure everybody's heard of that, right? You just for inspiration, or if you're in troubled times or whatever, people have done that. So then he came up with this idea. Wouldn't it be great if there was an app that you could do that with? So that's where the idea came from, and it's called Random Scripture Verse Picker. So the app, it has the entire King James version of the Bible installed within it. So you can use this without being online. And so it's fully accessible, and it will read the verse. But the beauty of it is like just like if you pick up the Bible and flip through it, and because if you hold your finger, can you hear that? If you hold your finger on the cross, it's you that's deciding when to release your finger.
All the vessels of the tabernacle in all the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass. Exodus 27:19.
So it is truly a random scripture verse picker, and you can turn the sounds off. You can turn off the narration, and all of the buttons have sounds as well. And so we did a lot of development with it between the two of us, me doing the actual programming part and Jim being the person, to decide on the narration and the sounds for the buttons and everything like that. So, and then we had people, we had a great team, including Warren, who tested it for us, and we did change some things. Actually, we made a dark mode, for example, and we just, took everybody's suggestions to heart and, improved it as we could. So that's basically the gist of it, really.
So I haven't used the app yet, but I would argue, just by your description of how it works, that this actually works better than the old-fashioned way of opening the Bible, because I think when you do it with a physical Bible, you're probably like instinctually going to put your finger like near the center of a page instead of like near the top or near the bottom, or open it more towards the center of the Bible rather than like going towards the end or something. So I would argue that this is actually more random than doing it the old-fashioned way.
That's a very good point, and I've never heard anybody say that before, but I would totally agree with that, because if you know the Bible, you might be more inclined to steer it, as you say, to a specific, in the middle or the back or the front, or, but this is truly random. It's when you decide to lift your finger off the cross, and that's where you stop. So you have no idea, and it's just flipping through all the verses in the background. So yeah, I completely get where you're coming from on that.
And besides, John, your finger may be covering two verses, because you know how narrow
then you'd have
the print is.
one.
Yeah. So this is definitely a true verse picker. You're not going to land on two verses at the same time when placing down your finger. So yeah, brilliant observation there, John.
Hey, Lillian, I have an interesting concept for you, and I'm wondering if it's something that y'all might consider or put it to somebody in the blind Android developers. As a university student, I would love an app where you could just pick questions at random for like not just things like trivia, but things like studying, and you could just pick a random question to see if you know it studying for a test.
Yeah,
That would be an awesome idea. If you could do it with this app, you can do it with that.
So are you talking about like, for example, if you're studying a certain subject?
Yeah, you could pick the subject. Like say if you want to do what you could do, it would take a good bit of development, but it's possible. You could pick random questions from biology, or random questions from criminal justice. You know what I mean? And it just be a random question giver, so that kind of like almost. I like Quizlet, but there's some things that are not accessible, and there's graphics and stuff. So if it would be like a more accessible Quizlet sort of, but you could pick random questions.
That's very interesting and completely doable, especially now with AI agents.
Yeah.
I can see how that would really work. It would. That's very interesting. I'll have a closer look at that, because actually making it accessible, well, that would be really important and a consideration. But I find that very interesting. But it's totally doable. I'll tell you that. Making it into an app would be another part of it as well. But yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing other versions of the Bible besides the King James?
Yes, absolutely. And we've had that question before as well. And we may do it. We may do that in the future. Yeah. Well, one other thing that this one can do is also that I didn't mention, you can share a verse. Like if you wanted to, if you land on a verse and you wanted to send it to somebody, you can do that as well. But yes, we have thought about doing different versions of the Bible, and which may be a very good idea.
And talking about that, we have a demonstration of the app on our YouTube channel. So definitely, if you haven't had the opportunity to install RSVP,
there will be just another kind request that would you maybe submit this to our accessible Android app directory, because we don't have it yet.
Yeah, that would be great. Let me know if there's anything that I need to do on my end or how to do that. But yeah, that would be fantastic.
I'll contact you about it.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, well, we're definitely open to working with other people, you know, for various ideas, or you know, making things accessible. I'm working with a game developer right now, assisting him with some development in the game world, which I've never done before. So yeah, we're definitely open to all things, really.
So is it the email that I should contact you from the Play Store page?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
You know, the gaming world is taking the world by storm, and a lot of people are, you know, into gaming. It's becoming a very big industry, and what people use. So it's nice. Most especially those of us who are blind, we don't often have accessible games available to us, and this is why you know, people like Muhammed and Abdala from TableEx are important, because they know where the hurting points are. They know where it hurts, and so we're finally getting people like that out, putting out games for us. And I'm most thankful to all of you guys for thinking of us.
You know, I want to talk back Simon, like a Simon game, but with talk back gestures. Can you imagine?
That's awesome.
I want to talk back Simon. It's like a Simon game, but with talk back gestures.
I want one of
That would
those.
be
I used
nice.
to play that game when I was young.
You know, it's like you know, and it was like, and it would just use your talk back, and it's like, swipe down, down, left, right, down, up. Yeah, you get
No,
it.
That's a good
Can
idea.
you repeat that?
That's
Let's
a
see if
real
you
good
can
idea.
test.